Inherited disorders. Some disorders are the result of a change in the bases or coding of our gene and can be passed down from one parent to the child. So if a mutation happens in the genes of a parent, they could result in a disorder that can be inherited by being passed down to the offspring. These types of diseases are known as inherited disorders. Some of them cause few problems, such as inherited color blindness, but some of them are fatal. The first inherited disorder we're going to talk about is polydactyly. Sometimes babies are born with extra fingers or toes. This is called polydactyly. The most common form of polydactyly is caused by a dominant allele. It can be inherited from one parent who has the condition. Since it's dominant, it can express itself in the heterozygous state, so it only needs to be inherited from one parent. This is the hand of a person with polydactyly. We can see the extra finger. If you have polydactyly and are heterozygous, you have a 50% chance of passing down the disorder to any child you have. So there's a 50-50 chance of passing down each of the alleles. However, if you are homozygous for the disease, you have both dominant alleles, then your children will definitely have the condition because you can only pass down the faulty dominant allele. Some dominant genetic disorders have much more widespread effect on the way the body works than polydactyly. For example, a disease called Huntington's disease is a dominant genetic disorder in which symptoms develop in middle age. It affects the nervous system and eventually leads to death. This is a family tree in which we observe the passing down of polydactyly. The males are squares and the females are circles. Pink represents individuals with polydactyly and blue represents unaffected individuals. So here we have a male with polydactyly mated with a healthy female. They had 2 children, one male that is unaffected and one female with polydactyly. The male that was unaffected mated with a female with polydactyly, and they had 2 unaffected children. So what does this tell us about the female with polydactyly, their mother? This tells us that their mother is definitely a heterozygote because she has healthy children. If the mother were a homozygote with polydactyly, then she should have passed the polydactyly allele to the children, and the children would have been heterozygotes, so they would have shown the phenotype of having polydactyly. But since the allele in question is a dominant allele, then if an affected mother has healthy children, this tells us that this mother is definitely a heterozygote. As for the female that mated with the male and they both have polydactyly, we see that they have 3 affected children and 2 unaffected children. So what does this tell us about the parents? It tells us that they are both heterozygotes. Because again, they have to have each one healthy allele, one unaffected allele to pass down, because being unaffected by polydactyly is recessive. So individuals who are unaffected by polydactyly are homozygotes. They have to have received both of their alleles from both parents.